What's up everyone, how's it going? This is Waj. Hope you guys are all doing well, and I've been playing a lot of Overwatch these days, and as you may or may not know, my primary GPU is actually a GTX 1080 Ti, and I haven't actually used a G-Sync enabled monitor. I've used one briefly, but I never actually owned one. Well, ViewSonic gave me the opportunity to review the XG2560, which is a 25-inch 240Hz panel that has a response time about 1 millisecond and has G-Sync enabled. So this might be the ultimate weapon for all you Overwatch fans or anyone that wants to get a super competitive low latency gaming monitor experience. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Now, one of the most important factors about any good competition grade esports monitor is going to be overall speed and accuracy, reliability. Those kind of things are paramount, and the ViewSonic XG2560 has all those things going for it. Firstly, let's talk about the overall size. It's kind of a sweet spot. Most of your professional esports players or Let's Players are going to be quite close up to the monitor, and a 27-inch would just be too large, and 24-inch is perfectly fine. This is right kind of in between at 25 inches, so it's a nice sweet spot. You're still at 1920 by 1080, which is perfectly reasonable, and you don't need a monstrous graphics card to push some really extreme frame rates, so that's definitely nice. You don't need all that resolution all the time. It's a TN panel, which is preferred by most professional grade esports players. Now, in terms of the picture quality itself, you have a color space rating of about 8 bits. It has a static contrast ratio of 1000:1, and the maximum brightness is rated at up to 400 CDM squared, and I actually had it lower than 30% based on my testing. I don't really like a bright monitor, kind of strains my eyes too much. Now, of course, you can tweak the colors by messing around with the RGB settings. You can also go for some of the presets that's built to the monitor depending upon your gaming style. ViewSonic does have something called black stabilization mode, which kind of heightens the details and brightens up darker scenes. Therefore, when you go in a dark cave or a dark room in a first-person shooter, for example, you'll be able to see your enemies hiding in the shadows more visibly, so that's definitely a nice little plus there. Now, in terms of the design aspect of this display, you can see that it looks fairly standard compared to most other gaming monitors. You have nice thin overall bezels, a matte finish so you can situate it in any kind of lighting situation. A nice little design cue is that there's an LED indicator light located at the base of the monitor right on the stand. And speaking of the stand itself, it's actually fairly good in terms of articulation options. You have a decent amount of vertical travel. You can rotate it 90 degrees to put it in portrait mode, and there's even a decent amount of tilt, I think about 15 to 18 degrees to get the best viewing angle possible. Additionally, this is VESA mount compatible, so you can use any 100mm mount to mount it on your desk or any kind of retractable arm. Now, in terms of the input options, you have a pretty decent USB 3 hub with 4 inputs as well as an audio out connection, and your main display interfaces are DisplayPort 1.2a and HDMI 2.0. Now, being a monitor specifically designed for G-Sync, I tested the monitor out with my GTX 1080 Ti, and with all the detail settings cranked to the max on both Overwatch and CSGO, the combination of the super low latency 1 millisecond response time and what NVIDIA calls ultra low motion blur technology, you're going to encounter each and every frame as clear as possible. There's going to be little to no tearing thanks to the G-Sync technology, and as long as you can push your hardware so you're getting over 150, 200 frames per second, you're going to encounter a very silky smooth gaming experience that's going to give you a competitive edge if you're in a competition environment. Of course, for me personally and for a lot of you guys out there, we may not be professional esports players, but we still want to use the best equipment possible and to get the most out of our gaming PC that we've put so much money and effort into. Now, I've been using the XG2560 for a couple of months now, and I've been playing a lot of Overwatch with it, and one of the things that I've noticed the most is you don't notice the difference when you're actually using it, but when you go back to playing on a 120 or 60 hertz panel like I've done for years upon years, you actually notice a 9-day difference. It's something I can't illustrate really on camera, something you have to experience in person, but I've never actually properly taken the time to put some hours into actually using a proper G-Sync enabled 240 hertz monitor with less than 1 millisecond response time. And I definitely have to say that I'm now spoiled. I cannot really game on a 120 hertz or even a 60 hertz panel anymore, which really kind of sucks. And that means that although 25 inches I think is a perfect size, especially if you're close up, as we mentioned before, but since I use multiple monitors for different things, I might have to upgrade to just a little bit larger size, and it would be nice to have a little bit more resolution. But although it's completely understandable why this is a 1080p display, because you want to drive those frame rates as high as possible and want to maintain a super high refresh rate. So 1080p is definitely going to make that happen, especially if you have a decently powerful graphics card. And otherwise, if you're going with Quad HD or even Ultra HD, you're going to have some pretty beefy multiple GPUs set up in order to drive some super high frame rates. So 1080p definitely makes sense over here. But other than that, guys, definitely check out the XG2560 from ViewSonic. ViewSonic definitely has an awesome warranty. You actually have 3 years with this monitor, including parts and labor. And I've actually dealt with ViewSonic in the past with some of my other TVs and monitors, and they've been really, really helpful. So their service department is super awesome. But definitely check out this unit over here. Check out the description down below for more details about everything we've talked about. Thanks for your support throughout all the years. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later. Take care.